Hot Key Books presents Murder High, written by Lauren Muñoz and read by Mandy Figueroa. Prologue. 2 weeks from now. Sierra Fox hurried down the muddy path, typing a message on her phone. Livestream ran late. OMW. It autocorrected to, "On my way," just as she hit send. Fantastic. The cheerful tone would make Xavier even angrier. Sierra glared down at her heels, which were caked with dirt and crushed pine needles. Ruined, she muttered. And for what? Why did he need to meet her so far from everyone else? Things were bad between them, but it's not like they were actually over. Her misstep had been a small thing, a forgivable mistake. Without Xavier, she wouldn't think about that. Sierra breathed in the fresh air made sharp by the evergreens that cast long shadows over the ground. A few birds squawked overhead, but otherwise, the path was silent. Her classmates were having lunch inside, away from the mud and the damp. A loud rustling broke through the quiet. Sierra paused to listen, but the noise didn't come again. Probably just a forest animal, she thought. It had sounded big, though, and she continued a little faster. No student had ever been attacked by a bear, but every year, Dean Whitaker reminded them not to go into the woods alone, especially during cub season. Suddenly, a huge brown blur streaked across the path, almost hitting her. "Ah!" Sierra shrieked, covering her mouth with a fist. She wanted to run, but she was frozen in place. The creature stopped a few yards into the woods. Trembling, Sierra forced herself to meet its eyes. It was a baby doe. "Stupid deer!" she yelled, sending the doe sprinting into the trees. Sierra tried to calm her racing heart. If she was freaking out over a cute little animal, she must be more nervous about meeting Xavier than she thought. As she moved down the path, the knitting needles in her bag knocked against her arm, and she carefully shifted the tips away from her skin. Everyone else in the Stitch and Bitch club she'd started used metal needles, but for Sierra, it was wood or nothing. She'd even had her initials burned into the ends. The greenhouse at the bottom of the path was as lovely as the rest of campus. Tall panes of float glass rose in a Gothic arch, like something out of a storybook. A few special stained glass pieces were set in casement above the door, which was closed. Sierra frowned. Xavier had told her he would leave the door propped open, but maybe he hadn't wanted the rain to blow in. She pressed her face against the nearest glass pane, careful not to smudge her makeup. Nothing moved inside. The heavy scent of compost and violets made her nose wrinkle as she pushed the door open. It was surprisingly chilly in the greenhouse, nothing like its typical balminess. The last time she'd been inside was with... No, she wouldn't think his name. He'd shown her the tobacco plants he'd been growing to make vape juice. "You've got to be careful extracting the nicotine," he'd said, pointing at a plant with broad green leaves. "It's strong enough to take down a horse. Dope, right?" Sierra had not thought it was dope. The only thing she disliked more than guys who smoked were guys who had a passion for killing things. "Javi?" she called into the space. The only answer was a terrified flapping of wings as several birds escaped out a missing window pane in the peaked roof, revealing the gray sky. She didn't remember the opening being there when she was with him, but they'd been preoccupied with other things. "Javi, are you in here?" she asked again, walking between the rows of greenery, most of which had been planted by the forensic science students for their experiments. The chill in the air entered Sierra's bones. Had Xavier stood her up? Was it possible he was serious about dumping her?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?